Welcome to Pop Culture Roulette for all your pop culture needs. We're America's podcast. All right, welcome everybody to the Scramblecast. As we have lost Jeremy, we had him, and man, those EA people, they just will not
They,
give up. Every time we get him back, they just come take him again.
they come in for more.
And they waited till the last minute, so we had to we're the thing that we've been promising, or at least I've been promising on other podcasts for a couple of weeks now that we're going to do. Well, it's been pushed off another week, but we will do it. So if you've joined us from, I don't know, 80s flick flashback or totally rad Christmas, well, thank you. You have good taste in
See
podcasts.
you next week.
Just see how we scramble and come up with things at the last minute. So I I recently, well, I mean, we recently did, well, we had vacation last week because, Easter and all that.
Yes.
So, you said you have a list of Easter themed horror films? Because as we know,
Yes,
this
I
this
do.
podcast is nothing but well, a shameless plug for Halloween. If we
It-
can jam in
As much
Halloween content anywhere, we're gonna
wherever
find it.
wherever we can.
So,
Yeah, I have a list. I use that website, All Horror, where you can. I talked about. I don't know if I talked about it on air or not. Where you can search by genres, subgenres, and then it'll just bring you up to horror films based on your the criteria of your search. And one of them in the subgenres is Easter. So according to this, there have been 9 Easter horror movies.
okay.
Would you like to guess what year the first one came out?
Ooh, part of me wants to say like 1934, just because like I feel like, they started making horror movies like right away. But then for East, that's also a holiday that I don't think most people will have touched. So maybe like 2014. Like
Okay. So somewhere in between those years.
when would, according to the all horror, is it .com or .net?
.com.
.com. I know that I think we did briefly talk about the that website at some point, but like, I know because I know you sent it to me once when we were trying to come up with some horror movies to do.
I think it was Christmas.
So yeah, so I think it's possible that we discussed it on an episode. If not, we'll discuss it again. Who cares?
Yes. So the first one is 1972,
I was way off.
and it is called Night of the Lepus, which the only trailer, like the little synopsis they have here, is giant mutant rabbits terrorize the Southwest.
If memory serves, I think MST3K did that one. Like, obviously not originally, but
Right.
like I think they did their
But
MST3K treatment to it. I feel like I've seen it.
which I mean, if they did, it would make sense because it looks like a terrible movie. And then followed from 1972 to 2007
Okay.
when they came out with Cottontail with a Kotten. And it is a overlooked research laboratory, has long been working on genetic engineering without any trouble. All these change one nights when 2 would-be animal liberators set free a test rabbit.
Oh,
So there's that one. 2010, you have Easter Bunny Bloodbath. which is a cabin in the woods holiday dysfunctional family Easter. So that one takes place in 1967. What's the other one? 2011, you have Bunny Man, which looks like a guy in a rabbit suit wielding a chainsaw.
Oh,
And this is the first of a trilogy.
now see, this is the one. I mean, I've never seen Bunny Man. I've never even heard of Bunny Man until right now. But this one doesn't surprise me because like I feel like at some point, like, we've tried to make everything into some sort of horror franchise. So,
Yeah, they've tried. And people like us watch it.
right.
And then 2013, you had Easter Casket. 2014, Beaster Day. Here Comes Peter Cottonhell. 2014, the sequel, The Bunny Man Massacre.
So, do you feel like most of these movies were made like on a dare? Like, I dare you to make this, or you know,
It would have to be. Like they got nothing else to
somebody
do.
lost a bet.
Yeah. 2017, Bunny Man Vengeance. That is the final of the trilogy. And then 2019, you had Rotten Tail.
Do any of these does the list come with like a star rating on any of these, or like the I
Um, yeah, it gives it a star. It also tells the IMDb and the Rotten Tomatoes.
what is the highest IMDb score on any of these movies?
And it comes with a 10-star rating. Rotten Tail is 8.5 and a 3.6. Bunny Man Vengeance is a 38 Rotten Tomato and a 2.8 IMDb. And 7.5 stars.
Okay, so we can't necessarily trust the star rating
All right.
because these people are like us.
Right. True, 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 true. Bunny Man Massacre is 18 Rotten Tomato, 4 IMDb.
Oh, jeez.
Beaster Day, Rotten Tomatoes not available. IMDb is a 3.1. Easter Casket, Rotten Tomatoes not available. IMDb a 5.8.
Oh,
Might be the winner. Bunny Man, Rotten Tomatoes of 20. IMDb is 2.9. Easter Bunny Bloodbath, Rotten Tomatoes not available. IMDb 3.3. Cottontail, Rotten Tomatoes of 17. IMDb of 4.3. Night of the Lepus, Rotten Tomatoes of 9. IMDb of 4. So Easter Casket might have been the winner there. Yeah. I don't know exactly what the synopsis is here for Easter Casket. Fill load.
so I'm looking here on Just Watch, and Bunny Man not available anywhere. Bunny Man
Bunny
Vengeance though.
Bunny Man, it
Third.
said it was available free on Voodoo when I looked.
Oh, I'm looking here. Bunny Man Vengeance is it's all over the place. You got Prime, Vudu, Tubi, Dark Matter, Plex, Film. Like you can watch it everywhere. So if you want to skip right to the third one, oh wait,
Uh,
okay, no,
okay,
I'm sorry here. Bunny Man the Grindhouse Edition, a re-release, is available on Vudu. So the first one is available. It's just a reissue, a special edition, if you will.
okay. The the summary for Easter Casket is All hell breaks loose when Peter Cottontail, aka the Easter Bunny, hears that the Catholic Church is about to do away with all Easter rituals not pertaining directly to the resurrection of Christ. With Father Asher, a priest warrior, hot on his trail, Cottontail starts a rampage, leaving the bodies of the clergy and a few schoolgirls in his wake. Can Asher stop him before it's too late?
And I'm going to guess that the schoolgirls are all young nubile co-eds of legal age.
I would assume so.
Based on that description. Yeah, so I would say that in general, Easter is probably a holiday that you would probably stay away from making a general uh, horror film about. I mean, obviously people have tried. Nobody seems to have done it very successful. But you would also think you'd want to stay
I
away
mean,
from
I mean, they
Christmas,
made
but
they made three Bunnymen movies, so
that is true.
I do have kind of an interest in seeing the trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, I will watch anything. So, I mean, if it was something that we wanted to do, I would give it a shot. I mean, you know, I did I wanted to see it anyway, but on the recommendation of both of you, it came on Peacock this weekend. So I did finally watch Cocaine Bear.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it immensely. It
Did you
is,
see they also have the true story on there?
yes, I did not have a
Okay.
chance to watch that. Um, I don't know how interesting the true story really is because,
It's kind of boring.
yeah, I mean, the real version is a drug dealer threw some plane drugs out of a plane for whatever reason. He died because he was not probably no didn't really know how to parachute.
He did. The guy
Uh,
was like a former soldier who did the parachuting and stuff, and then he was a dirty cop who got like kicked off the force.
okay, so that part seems more interesting. Now, like
Yeah,
the whole drug smuggling part where it was like the Kentucky Mafia or something, the Dixie Mafia, whatever they called it, like that part sounds interesting. But like a bear came across some cocaine, ate it, and then immediately had a heart attack and died.
not the only animals that got into cocaine in this situation.
Well, I
There was
mean,
also some cows.
I'm assuming that they suffered the same fate as the bear.
No, they didn't get as much, so they were just a little strung out.
Yeah.
The
Uh,
milk probably sold pretty well, though.
yeah. I would imagine though, unlike the real story where the movie gave us a version where a bear taking cocaine apparently gave her Popeye-like powers. Um, when Popeye is beaten and he's almost lost, and he can just sniff the spinach or gets just the smallest amount, like gets all the superpowers back and comes back and seems that was what Cocaine Bear was. All she needed was to get a little of that white powder up the nose, and then
Little nose candy.
little nose, and then turned into some sort of super rampaging bear.
Yep.
It was ridiculous. I mean, it was every bit as ridiculous as, I mean, there's no way you could watch the trailer for Cocaine Bear and not go, well, this is gonna be stupid, but stupid in a fun way.
Yeah. Like you know what you're getting into. You're not turning that on expecting something different.
I did like when they were like, we only called it Cocaine Bear because we couldn't think of anything better. We didn't intend on calling it that when we released it, but then it came time to release it, and we hadn't thought of anything better, so we just went with it.
Yeah. And
Um,
the two hikers in the beginning, Olaf and Elsa.
yeah, yeah. Which I thought was interesting because she clearly called him Christoph or Christopher.
Did she?
Yeah, which is his real name.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah. Um, how much does O'Shea Jackson Jr. look exactly like his father?
Oh, the one with the jersey?
Yes.
He looks a lot.
Yeah. I mean, and kind of sounds like him too. I mean, he just Like there's no doubt in my head. Like if I saw him and didn't know that Ice Cube's real name was O'Shea Jackson, I'd be like, man, that guy. I mean, well, there's also a reason that they cast him to play his father in that Straight Outta Compton movie a couple years ago.
I didn't watch that one.
I didn't either, but I knew he did it. So, I mean, obviously, also a way better actor than his father. Not to say that his dad's a bad actor, but I mean, it's not necessarily his first
Forte.
career. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, it's weird to see that Elizabeth Banks went from directing Pitch Perfect and Charlie's Angels to Cocaine Bear. I mean, that's not a natural progression, but whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
she's obviously funny, and I feel like this movie is in the same vein as like Snakes on a Plane, where like
Yeah.
I can't think maybe the younger people in it were trying to like the three kids who got their ass handed to them by I don't even remember his name now. Not
Uh,
Eddie, but O'Shea
Cube,
Jackson.
Cube Jr.
Yeah, Cube Jr. Um, maybe those kids were trying to be serious, but I think even them, like they knew they signed up for a movie called Cocaine Bear. Yeah.
Yes. And then Jesse Tyler Ferguson.
Yep.
I was like, did he get this because of their little connection from Modern Family?
Was Elizabeth Banks in Modern Family?
She
Or
was
did
in a couple episodes here
Oh,
and
okay.
there.
Yeah, probably. I don't think I watched the first couple episodes of Modern Family and gave up on it, but and I never went back.
I've watched quite a bit of it.
Maybe I'll give it another try. I don't know. Just when it came on, I wasn't in the mood, so I just never gave it a fair shake, I guess.
All right, that's fair.
But like it was such a ridiculous like the bear chasing down the ambulance and like launching into the back of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like breaking down the door on the guy.
Yeah. It was very enjoyable. Worth watching if you have Peacock. I would definitely, spend the hour and a half and watch it. But just know that like expect Snakes on a Plane or something along those lines where it's a ridiculous concept and it's I mean because I mean also like let's be fair. Like all right, I have not a lot of experience in the illegal drug market. I've never taken cocaine, but the scene where the 12 or 13-year-old kids find the brick and then both try to take some, did that seem like a lot to you?
That sure did.
Because like the Jess and I were watching it, we both went, that seems like a lot. But I mean, they ended up spitting so much of it out. I'm like, I don't know how much they actually. I mean, obviously, it was also like powdered sugar or whatever. It wasn't real coke. I'm guessing they didn't give a 13-year-old,
I'm still thinking you put that much powdered sugar in your mouth, you're gonna cough that out too. It's probably flour.
flour, whatever shows up best on camera or
Yeah,
looks, So I don't know what that amount of cocaine would do to a regular cocaine user, but I would imagine the 13-year-old who's never done it before, that might. Do you remember? I mean, you might not remember, but have you ever heard of Len Bias?
I don't think so.
He was, can't remember. I think it was University of Maryland. I don't know. He was drafted out of college. Was one of the highest touted. Like, I mean, he was gonna, everybody was saying this guy's gonna change everything. He got drafted, went out, and now, granted, I could be getting some details wrong because it was a long time ago and it was before the internet where you could double check facts. But the way they sold it to us as kids is like stay off drugs was Len Bias gets drafted, goes out and has a party and like the party and like he took some cocaine, had a heart attack and died immediately. Now I know that there's a little bit more to it than that. I think it was more like he did massive amounts of it, not just like one little sniff and then was like, oh.
Yeah.
But that was the story that they always lied or not lied to us, but they always tried to sell us that yeah, he did go to University of Maryland. He got drafted in '86. Okay, drafted as the second pick by the Celtics. 2 days after being drafted, died of cardiac arrhythmia induced by a cocaine overdose. So I do remember most of the details. It's just like parts of it of like, the story that they tried to sell you, like just looking at the cocaine is what killed this guy, you know. And I'm
Right.
guessing it wasn't that he took just a little bit. I'm guessing he took a metric fuck ton.
Or it could have been on a bunch of other drugs too, and that
Right.
just
Or it
topped it
wasn't
off.
or it wasn't clean. It was cut with who knows what other stuff.
Yeah.
But
There's lots of variables.
but when the bear ate the entire brick at one time, like I'm sure there's not an animal on earth that can ingest that much cocaine and not have its heart just immediately stop.
Yeah. Or how he didn't choke on it.
Right, or that. But it was enjoyable. I did appreciate the movie. It was
I,
it
I
was a fun.
really I really like the little boy too.
Yes. Um I know we talked about it very briefly. I don't know if either one of you watched it. But do you remember us talking about Sweet Tooth?
Yes, I do remember it. Didn't watch it.
Okay. Um, I'm watching it, trying to figure out where I know this little boy from. So I go to IMDb like I do every time I'm watching a movie and see what other things these people have been in. And I click on the boy because I'm like, where have I seen? Oh, he's the little kid with antlers in Sweet Tooth. Got it. All right.
All right.
So
And I don't know, did you watch Megan?
yes, we talked
The
about that one.
yeah, the park ranger is the neighbor in Megan.
Oh yeah, Margot Martindale.
I don't know what her name is.
Oh, she's one of those. I bet if you looked her up, because she does TV, a lot of TV. Like she probably has a couple hundred cast credits just from all the TV that she's done.
One of those like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Like,
And of course Ray Liotta.
now I saw that they've said this was the final movie, like they were in post-production when he passed, when he died. But I could have sworn I just read recently that there's another movie coming out that he did. So I guess they must have filmed it before and they're just taking longer to release it.
Maybe
But yeah, what a way to go out as a victim of cocaine bear.
yeah.
So clearly, if this movie has done very well, so clearly they're gonna do like Cocaine Bear 2 or you know
I don't
Cocaine
know.
Sheep, like don't keep it with a bear, turn it into like cocaine, like hippo
It'll
or
it'll be like Rehab Bear.
rehab bear.
Yeah, gotta go to rehab.
All right, well then, you said you watched the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes, I went and seen that. I think early in the week, Monday. I think it was on a Monday. Went to
Can you
the theater by you.
can you give a spoiler-free review of it?
Uh, it's definitely way better than it has any right to be.
Okay,
They throw in a bunch of Easter eggs for the older generation, like stuff that you'll see and you'll be like, I remember that from this game and this from this game, and oh, that's a reference to that game. Jack Black kills it as Bowser.
okay,
That's not a spoiler.
no,
Didn't hate how they did it with Chris Pratt. I know that was one of our concerns.
because he just pretty much did his own voice, right? He didn't.
Most of them did their own voice. So you don't really hear that thick
I'm a Mario and
Italian.
I'm a gonna win.
Yeah, they do that a little, but for the most part, they just talk normal.
And then what Charlie Day was Luigi.
Yes, Charlie Day's Luigi. Um, I can't remember the name of the girl who does Daisy. She's the one from X-Men New Mutants. Have you seen that one?
Sophie Turner? No. Maisie Williams?
No, the girl with the backpack that she talks to.
Oh, okay. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but
She's Daisy. Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong.
seems appropriate.
I think it's is it Fred Armisen? It's like Donkey Kong's dad.
Cranky? No. Yeah, Cranky.
Yeah. Who else is in there? Keegan Michael Key is Toad.
I remember reading the cast list and just being like, so they
Yeah.
pretty much just got everybody. All right.
Yeah. It's good. Way better than it has any right to be. I think when I left, I think I gave it 4 to 4.5 plungers out of 5. So
Okay.
it's
Yeah, I do want to see it. I know that it had like the largest opening of an animated movie of all time.
yeah, topped Frozen, I think, or Frozen
Yeah.
2.
Um, so, John Leguizamo trying to get people to boycott it apparently failed miserably
Did not work.
because apparently he's bitter that he didn't get to come back and do Luigi again. I don't know. I know he's got his reasons, and we're not going to get into it, but it backfired. That's all we need to say.
Yes, big time. But yeah, definitely worth it.
Okay.
I don't know if you're gonna wait till it comes to streaming or if you're gonna see it in theaters.
I don't know. I'm kind of busy the next couple of weekends, so I'll probably end up just waiting to stream it. I mean, I know what's coming? There's something coming on the 21st. There's a big movie opening up here pretty soon that I'm gonna have to try to figure out how to go see
Onto a streamer or on in theaters.
in the theaters.
I don't know what else is coming out. Yeah, but I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of kids there too, and they seem to enjoy it. Are you talking? Oh, Renfield.
Yes,
Let's see,
that one.
Renfield comes out soon.
Yes, it either started this weekend or next weekend, and I know that that's really high on my list. I'd like to go see it with both of you, but I don't know.
Uh, it released on the 14th, so 2 days ago it
Okay,
came out.
right. So
Yes,
maybe we can talk about it. Maybe doing something next Sunday, um, possibly. Well, we'll talk about that later. Just to continue to talk
right.
about off off mic stuff on mic and just
Yeah, vice
really
vice vice versa.
lay it in. Um, all right. Well, so just to continue to promise something that we just keep pushing back, we were going to discuss um, who did it better. The others. We were going to start with them first. So we were going to talk about all the comic book characters that aren't Marvel or DC and talk about who played them in what movie or what TV show and go from there. But well, Jeremy's not with us, as you said, as we said. EA came and got him again. I don't know why they keep messing with him. He keeps spending all the money on him anyway. So
Yeah,
figure they'd stop.
his hard-earned dollars. They leave him alone.
Yeah, but they keep kidnapping him. Just they won't leave him alone. So instead, because well, it seems to be how we go and do things. When he's not here, we talk about sports.
I did watch another movie. If you want to talk about
Okay.
that quick
All right. What are
before
we?
we get into this conversation, I
Okay.
checked out Tetris.
Oh, speaking of which, Major League Baseball. I don't know if it's because I buy the MLB package every year, or the MLB just send it out to everybody. They gave me 2 free months of Apple TV.
Nice.
So I didn't watch it yesterday because I was like, oh, Ted Lasso. I got to catch up on that. But I did see that I can watch it. So I will be watching Tetris shortly.
There's a lot going on there. Good movie, but definitely a lot going on.
Okay. Yeah, so I've got 2 months to try to catch up on all the Apple TV stuff I missed since I canceled it a year or so ago, and then I'll cancel it again. But
Yeah,
mainly just for Ted Lasso. But
we watched that one. I think it's Blackbird, might be the show, and then Sprigadoon. I think is it's a musical on there.
yeah, I don't I know it's supposed to be funny, so I could probably put up with it. But
It's the it's pretty funny.
because that's one of was the Keenan Michael Key is in that one.
Yep. Keegan
Okay,
Michael Key. I think Fred Armisen. There's some other people that you thought are like, oh, that guy looks familiar, or that lady looks familiar.
so yeah, I'll probably be watching a lot of Apple TV stuff over the next 2 months. So
Comic books have been around for almost a century, and in the last 2 decades, we've finally gotten to see many of these characters brought to life in movies and on TV. On the Moving Panels podcast, we discuss movies and TV shows based on, inspired by, and adapted from the world of comic books. Join me and my guests as we discuss both the good and the bad from Marvel, DC, and even some of the lesser known comic book companies. Learn what is and isn't from the comics, as well as our nerdy review of the movie or show. New episodes drop every Monday, and you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. So join us for Moving Panels, and I'll see you on the other side of the page.
because I only I had to look real fast just to make sure I wasn't gonna like miss the season finale of Ted Lasso. So and I'm not like it's like the season finale is like a week or two before I have to cancel it. So I'm good. All right, but back in Horror Through the Decades, which I don't know if we're ready to make that announcement yet or not. So hint hint. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, so I'm not gonna make any sort of official announcements. I'm just gonna be like, ooh, sneaky hint. But anyway,
Sneaky, sneaky.
last year I did a horror through the decades on a movie called Tourist Trap. About the whole guy kidnapping people and turning them into wax figures or killing them. I know Horror Through the Decades is the solo show, so I know I did. I don't know if you watched those episodes that Jeremy put up on YouTube. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
ever seen
can't
this.
can't say I did.
I don't know if you've ever seen this movie called Tourist Trap,
I
but
have
it
no.
but while I was doing research for it, I came across an actor by the name of Chuck Connors. Chuck Connors was well known as an actor. Like he did a lot of westerns and obviously the super cheesy, classic Tourist Trap. But one of the things that stuck out while I was doing research was he is one of a very small group of men who have played in both professional basketball, the NBA, and Major League Baseball. Um, I don't know how successful he was at either one of them, because it looks like he played in Major League Baseball in the years of
For 1 year and
for
then a
two
break.
two separate years in 49 and 51, and then he played in the NBA for looks like 2 3 years.
3 years before that.
Yeah, 3 years. But there's a very short list of guys who have done both. But I also figure, the NBA playoffs started this weekend. Major League Baseball is, 12, 13, maybe 15 games into the season. So, it's just started. Which is probably also why there's not a lot of guys who have done both. Looks like um, the last guy to do it was Danny Ainge, who played baseball for a couple years. Now, this is not guys who were drafted in both or just played in the minors or went overseas. This is guys who actually played in the Major League Baseball, got some at bats, and then obviously Danny Ainge is much more successful in the NBA. Played from 81 and 95. I don't. I Now he's the. I think he's still the general manager of the Celtics.
I think so.
Yeah. So he's obviously, become much more successful at basketball than he was baseball. Um, but it looks like, well, no, it looks like there was a guy named Mark Hendrickson. This is not by year. I guess it's alphabetical. Who played in the NBA from 96 to 99 and then baseball from '02 to 2011. So I guess he was more recent. But I mean that would be difficult to do it at the same time. So it looks like almost none of these guys. Some of them tried a little bit at the beginning, and who know? I don't know back in '62 when Dave Boucheri or Boucher, I don't know. How do you pronounce that one?
I'm trying to find him on the list. Oh, Dave
Debouchery?
DeBuscher?
Yeah. Looks like he tried for at least 1 year to do both, but back in '62, I don't know when the baseball. I mean, baseball has pretty much always been opening day around the beginning of April.
Yeah, April Fools.
Yeah. And I don't know I don't know if basketball has always played an 82 game season or if they've expanded it or, I think baseball their season used to be a lot shorter as well. So,
Yeah, I think basketball is shorter too.
but I mean, I'm looking at the names and I don't know why some of them are highlighted. Oh, overlapping seasons. So you have one, two, three, four guys who overlapped. The rest of them never overlapped. But I mean, Chuck Connors is well known, but not for being an athlete, for being an actor. Danny Ainge is obviously well known. The rest of these guys, for some reason, Dick Groat is making. Okay, former basketball player, one eight-time All-Star. So it looks like he was.
Um,
Yeah, but there were only 13 guys who managed to play in both.
and not a lot at the same time either. What was it? Four guys overlap
Yeah.
between the two sports?
And I'm not saying that it's there's probably a lot of baseball players who are very good at basketball but not, you know, able to do it on the NBA level just because of timing more than anything. And there's probably a lot of basketball players. I know there's a lot like I mean you got like not Tony Gwynn. Or was it Tony Gwynn? Trying to Dave Winfield, I think, got drafted like by everybody and chose baseball. I think Tony Gwynn was as well. But yeah,
Huh.
so he
It says this Dick Groat is also still alive at 92.
yeah. Well, look at this. For baseball, a 286 average, 2000 hits, no, so only 39 home runs, but that's also back in the day when home runs were um and
70,
seven yeah.
707 RBIs.
So eight-time more All-Star, two World Series, an NL MVP, and a batting champion.
Wow,
And then
we
and
don't
then
we
as a
don't really know too much about this guy.
and then as a basketball player, won player of the year. So he did really well in college.
Was that
Um,
say he was the third pick in the first round in
yeah.
1952?
So he's in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, but he obviously didn't do real well in the NBA because he only had 309 points, so he didn't really play.
That's almost 12 points per game though. That's not bad.
Yeah, but I don't know how
Jer
many games that
Jersey's
worked out.
Jersey's retired by the Duke Blue Devils.
So, so yeah, so that
Good
may
for
be
this
why
guy.
that might be why his name, sticks out. But you have 13 guys that managed to do both. Um, Other than apparently Dick Groat played really good at baseball, but basketball he only played for the 2 years. So Danny Ainge only played 2 years in baseball, but did really well in basketball.
Yep. What
Without
are
clicking on.
I was gonna say, what are Danny Ainge's baseball stats?
Oh, Danny Ainge's baseball stats. He played in a lot more games than I thought he did. 211 games, two home runs. Uh,
37 ribbies, 128 strikeouts, 146 hits. No wonder he chose
yeah.
basketball.
So
If you have almost as many strikeouts as you have hits, it's not a good sign.
Yeah, so I mean 87 games, 38 games, 86 games, so didn't even get a full yeah, so it is so
11,
obviously
11 errors in his first year, I saw.
yeah, well that's I don't know. I mean, you have to remember the era, so the era that he played, so I don't nowadays I think, 11 errors would be, acceptable, but
Hey, Milwaukee Braves.
so and he never really played very much. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like a lot of these guys had they either had a lot of success in one or, not a lot of success in both,
Yeah.
but 13 guys have been good enough to do both.
You're either
So that
good, you're either good at one or bad at both, apparently.
then you get over here. Um,
And over here is for our listeners.
over here and that is the guys who have managed to play at least one game in Major League Baseball and one NFL game. You have Brian Jordan, who played the most major league games at 1,456, played for 14 years for a bunch of teams, and then played for the Falcons for a couple of years. And then you have Deion Sanders, who played the most NFL games at 188 and is in the Hall of Fame as a football player. Will never be in the Hall of Fame as a baseball player, other than just for them to be like, "Hey, this is a guy who did both."
Well, really good cornerback.
But you see the third name down on that list?
I did. I noticed that right away.
Yeah, I figured. So George Halas, um, one-time owner of the Chicago Bears, a long time,
Isn't that what the NFC's championship trophy is? The George Halas
I
trophy?
believe so, managed to play 12 games as a New York Yankee
In
before he joined the
in
Bears.
1919.
Before he joined the Bears, and then has pretty much never left the Bears. I mean, he only played 8 years for them, but I'm pretty sure he must have managed them for a while, but didn't he end up owning them at some point?
Yeah, he was one of the owners.
So yeah, you have I mean, there's not a lot. I mean, you got three guys that played over 100 football games, which for football is a lot because you're only playing, 16 to 18 games a season. I think maybe back
Not even
then
back then. It was
that was
less.
like 12 or 14. So, in baseball, you're playing 160 something games. So, there's Jim Thorpe, who is widely considered to be one of the greatest multi-sport athletes of all time because he doesn't just having him here on the baseball list and the football list doesn't include what Jim Thorpe did, like in the Olympics, for track and field and all sorts of other stuff. But up here it says that for some reason Carl Hubbard is not on the list. He played
He's
because he was an umpire for Major League Baseball. So he played in football from 27 to 36 and as a player got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Um, then went to become an umpire in Major League Baseball and apparently was so good at it, never played a game. Was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame as an umpire,
hmm,
which is strange. Also,
yes.
probably the one umpire you did yell and scream at and try to start a fight with, because I'm guessing that means that he was bigger and stronger than most every baseball player.
Yeah. Dude was probably a beast.
Um, I know Bo Jackson probably isn't very is he's somewhere he's a high on the baseball list. He would have had a much longer football career except for that injury. Also would have had a much longer baseball career had it not been for that injury. But then I mean, it just obviously, as of, there was the one guy who was the NBA player who just retired in 2011. Brian Jordan just retired in '06. Um, Deion Sanders in '05 from football and '01 from. I don't know if you would have anybody being able to do this anymore
No.
now with the way they train the athletes the way they do.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the unicorn in Shohei who can pitch and bat, and they that it's so rare they literally had to change the rules of baseball to allow Shohei Ohtani to do both. Um, but I can't imagine like if LeBron, well, not now because he's old, but if LeBron at his height that actually followed through with his like, I want to be a wide receiver.
Yeah, he wanted to be a tight end.
Oh, a
Because
tight end.
I was thinking too with Kyler Murray was drafted into the NBA or NBA. He's too short for that. The
Yeah,
NFL and MLB. But he
right.
chose NFL. I don't know if they let him do multi sports anymore.
Yeah, I know a lot of those guys that get drafted in both will still go to spring training for whatever team they got drafted for just to go have fun. But I don't know if anybody would let them.
Yeah, do both.
Yeah, because I know what's his name there, the Seattle. Now he's with Denver.
Russell Wilson.
I know Russell Wilson had it in his contract where he was allowed to go play spring training games for whoever he was, whoever drafted him.
I
But
wonder in your research probably there's no player that's done all three.
I couldn't find any, not that played professionally. There was a lot of them. Like if we come over to this list of multi-sport, like if you go to Wikipedia and type in list of multi-sport athletes, it gives you everything. So I mean, if you come to like basketball, you've got
Francis Antetokounmpo
apparently played semi-pro basketball
in
and
Greece.
plays professional. I'm guessing when they say football, they mean
It's
soccer.
soccer. Yeah, that's one of
Yeah.
Giannis's brothers.
I mean, Wilt Chamberlain played volleyball professionally as well as, but I mean, you can see here it says um, went to college on a track and field and basketball. Did the high jump, the triple jump. Yeah, imagine Wilt Chamberlain being very good at the high jump.
Okay, you got Pat Connaughton on that list there.
Yeah,
He played professional baseball in the Orioles organization, and now he's a Milwaukee Buck.
right. So because it says in the organization, I'm assuming that means he was a minor leaguer. You know,
Hey, I
eh,
played high school football.
right. Yeah. So you have, I mean, Tim Duncan was a competitive swimmer and for the Virgin Islands. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find that one. But yeah, so I mean, if you want to see the guys who did a lot of
Isn't J.R. Smith like on a college hockey or golf team now?
right, I mean, then Michael Jordan quit basketball for a couple years in the middle to go, but he never got out
Oh,
of.
you
He
mean
never.
when he got suspended?
I mean, that's what we always joke about, but I mean, technically he quit. He didn't.
Yeah,
I mean,
they don't want to suspend him for gambling.
right. One of these days that story will come out.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Baseball. Let's see if I can find the. So, there's a lot of guys, Chris Carpenter playing for well, depending on which Chris Carpenter we're talking about. I think they both played for the St. Louis Cardinals at some point. Was
Mookie
all,
Betts is a professional bowler.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys who've played both. Now, this is why I didn't include any of these. I wanted to stick mainly to just professional because they have Darren Erstad, who was a punter at the University of Nebraska. But he, obviously gave up on that and became a really, high end, first baseman, center fielder for the Angels. Um,
Tom Glavine was drafted by the Kings,
yeah,
the Los Angeles Kings.
he's one of the only three. We have that list here in a second. Let me see if I can. Where did that list go? Here we go. Oh, damn it. I'm not good at technology.
It's better than me.
Here we go. a list of hockey player or baseball players who also played hockey. You have Tom Glavine, who got drafted in both but chose to stick with baseball.
Good
Probably
choice.
probably the right choice since he's in the Hall of Fame as a baseball player. This one kind of struck me as odd. Niger Morgan.
T plush.
Um, it struck me as odd because the one thing I remember about Niger Morgan is that, other than him being a spark plug of a baseball player, was small, wasn't
Yeah,
he? Yeah.
I
Uh,
thought so. Let me
but
Google it real quick.
apparently managed to play some semi-pro or some of the Canadian minor league hockey. I guess he grew. Well, it says he grew up in California, but somehow managed to be a hockey player. Chris Drury, much more known as a hockey player, won the Little League World Series. Probably was right to choose hockey. Justin Morneau, being one of the Canadian baseball players, obviously grew up playing both.
Niger Morgan, 5'10", 180.
Yeah, that seems really small to be a hockey player, but who knows? I guess if you're fast. So I mean, the list of hockey baseball is even shorter. It's five guys. So it says so the one guy here, James Riley, says he's the first guy to ever do it. Played 17 games in the NHL, 90 games in some minor league, won the Stanley Cup with the Seattle Metropolitans, which is a team that doesn't exist anymore. They ceased to exist a long time ago. I know they have the Seattle Kraken back in the last 2 years.
And they're in the playoffs
Yeah. And then I guess he went on to play baseball for 12 years. So clearly much better.
with the St. Louis Browns and Washington Senators.
I don't know where the St. Louis Browns are these days, but the Washington Senators are, well, depending on which version of the Washington Senators, could possibly be the Texas Rangers. So,
Hmm.
you know, so not a big list when it comes to, the guys who've done hockey and football. Um, yeah, then there's this Chuck Connors guy that I was talking about, had a 40-year film and television career. So clearly much more as an actor than as a because I'm trying to find the one guy. Tony Gwynn, here we go. Was drafted by the San Diego Clippers and the San Diego Padres. So, and then he chose to stay and play for, man just apparently loves San Diego because he played for San Diego State, got drafted by two San Diego teams, and
The
then
St.
played
Louis
his,
the St. Louis Browns were a Major League Baseball team that originated in Milwaukee.
where
There you go.
who are they now, or are they just straight up defunct?
I'm not getting anything on where they are now. Yeah, they moved to Baltimore where they became the Orioles.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, then you got guys like Todd Helton, who played quarterback for the University of Tennessee, and then decided to give up football altogether and go play baseball for a very long time. Uh, Bo Jackson is one of two guys who won a Heisman in football and then also played professional baseball. I mean, it would be interesting to see what
Andy Koufax is on that list.
Bo Jackson's career would have been had he not had that hip injury in football. Like, had he been able to stay healthy, like, because I mean, he was so good at both. I mean, it's so rare. I mean, Dion was a really good football player and a decent baseball player. He just managed to be able to be good enough to play both for a long period of time. I mean, there's a long list of guys who played college football or some sort of college sport. I mean, I remember Jeff Samardzija. was the wide receiver at Notre Dame, and I always thought he made the wrong choice in sticking in deciding to become a professional baseball player. I've always felt like he should have gone into the NFL because he was never that good of a pitcher. But man, he kept getting paid to not do a job. Okay, here's the guy I was thinking of, Dave Winfield. I brought it up. He was drafted by four professional teams in three different sports before be going into just baseball, which you could make the argument that he probably chose well since he is in the Hall of Fame as a baseball player.
Yeah, that's crazy to think that you'd get drafted by four teams in three sports.
So I assume that means he got drafted by somebody, was like, I'm never going to play for you, went back to college for a year, and then got drafted by somebody else in one of
Yeah,
those sports.
without looking up more details.
Right. Yeah. So it is there's just a
Bob
long list of
bobsledding.
so basically what it comes down to is when you're young and you're an athlete and you're really good, you're probably good enough to play multiple sports. I mean, Allen Iverson was a quarter man. Could you imagine Allen Iverson trying to make it into the NFL?
Yeah,
I mean,
too small.
it's one thing to make, be the quarterback at a high school football team, which apparently he was pretty good because he took his team to the state championship and won player of the year. But man, that man would have been murdered had he tried to play college football, let alone try to make it in the NFL.
Nate Robinson played football at University of Washington. You got
There's
a
a
couple
lot of names,
bobsledders.
a lot of Herschel Walker did bobsledding as well as the football, and then a bunch of sports that no, we just don't care about. Here, you were talking
Golf.
about golf. I do not see J.R. Smith on here, so they must not include
Hmm.
him. Although he did go back to college, because I remember them like saying, "Well, how did you play in the NBA for so long and still have college eligibility?" And he was like, "Well, because I don't
Went out of high school, I thought,
know."
and now he's playing on the golf team, whichever college he's in. Cedric Benson, drafted by the Dodgers.
I don't even know where you're looking anymore. I just
You
keep
were on
moving.
you were on Gridiron Football, so go up there. Top bet stop. Cedric Benson drafted by the Dodgers in the 12th round of 2001.
Oh,
Total
yeah.
25 at bats for their summer team.
Yeah, I mean, apparently,
Mo Alley Cox was recent.
oh, what a surprise. Terry Bradshaw set a national record for throwing a javelin. One of the best quarterbacks in NFL history could throw a javelin really far.
244 feet. Tom Brady drafted as a catcher by the Expos.
He was technically the last professional athlete to have been drafted, to have worn a Montreal Expo uniform at some point when he retired. Although I don't even know if he ever bothered to show up to the minor leagues. Like I think he pretty much just went right to the NFL, which as much as I don't like Tom Brady, I'm gonna say probably the right choice.
Yeah, made the right choice.
But I mean, yeah, a lot of these guys were good at both
Seems
sports,
like a
and
lot of quarterbacks are showing up on here as pitchers.
it doesn't surprise me. I mean,
Eric Decker was drafted by the Brewers and the Twins.
well, what was that Florida State quarterback that won the Heisman and was like, screw that and went to the NBA?
The Florida State. Well, Florida State. Don't know which one you're talking about.
Um,
Recently?
it's been in the last 20 years. Let's see if we can find his name here.
Hey, there's J.R. Smith, currently
Charlie
playing
Ward.
golf.
Yeah, Charlie Ward. Um, so Charlie Ward won the Heisman Trophy, was drafted by the Brewers and the Yankees, played tennis, and then also was a starting point guard in the NBA.
Yeah. J.R. Smith currently playing golf at North Carolina A&T.
And I don't. I saw several places on here where they're trying to say that these people are multiple sports athletes because they got involved with esports. I know this is going to be controversial, but I do not consider esports to be a real sport. Video games
That
is not a.
that's what it says about J.R. Smith.
Yeah. Well, that's what reminded me because I saw it somewhere else on the list. And I'm like, come on now. Playing video games professionally does not make you an athlete.
Right.
I love playing video games, and I will never be good enough to play professionally. I understand this. I know this, but it doesn't make you an athlete. All right. Well, I guess we've kind of already talked about what we've been watching. Um,
Yeah,
oh,
we got the movies and stuff out of the way before.
there was one person that I did want to talk about here. Bud Grant, also a name that you probably are familiar with because of his association with the Vikings,
A
was
little bit.
drafted by the late Eagles. Somehow ended up over in Minnesota with the Vikings, but played with the Minnesota Lakers before they became the LA Lakers, and was also playing for the Vikings. Um, or I guess he became the coach of the Vikings. But but yeah, so he, obviously had a very long career with the Vikings. Till he passed away not just recently, didn't he? Yeah, just last month. But he was with he's one of the few guys that have managed to play in a you know bunch of sports. But yeah, so anyway, I mean, there we go. So multi-sport athletes, they exist.
Did that say he was from Wisconsin?
Yes, which is probably why the Wisconsin people are so mad at him for being so good with the Vikings for so long. Although they never did win the Super Bowl, he lost a bunch with them, but they never won it.
No, still never have.
Do you think as a secret, as a Wisconsinite, secretly he would get the Vikings to the Super Bowl
Not
and
blow it.
and then intentionally blow it just to be like, well,
Could have been. Could have been. Got that hometown loyalty.
yeah, so you can't got to make sure you don't actually win this thing. We'll get you
Yeah.
there, but yeah, I gotta win this.
Not winning it today.
All right. Well, so we talked about wanting to go see Renfield here pretty soon. You were said, I want to say there's something else that was Renfield was definitely what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I don't know any other movies that recently came out or are coming out in the not too distant future.
Oh, Evil Dead Rise. That maybe was one I was thinking of.
Trailer looks pretty good.
There's that one called Ghosted that's going to Apple TV that I can now watch that Apple TV is free for me. It's that
Ghosted.
Chris Evans, Ana de Armas.
Oh yeah.
But all right, let's see if there's anything coming out here pretty soon in the next couple weeks. Renfield, Evil Dead, or Ghosted. No, that's it. And then everything else is in May. So we won't talk about that for a little while.
Yep.
All right. Well, okay. So join us next week when we actually do this thing that we've been debating or not debating, we've been working on, or at least I've been working on. It's been a lot of work and I can't wait to actually do it. I hope it actually goes well and it isn't just a big dud. So,
Sure.
all right. So please, EA, give him back. We're tired of you kidnapping him.
Maybe they're training him to be a esports athlete.
So as always, hit it.
He's doing the esports combine right now.
Is that what he's doing?
I want to know what your 40 time is, buddy.
Um, so as always, hit us up on Facebook, follow us, like us, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, but don't expect anything other than me just entering contests. Very rarely do I actually update Twitter. But drop us a line. Tell us what you want to hear in the future coming up. Tell us who your favorite two sport athlete was. Um, I mean, I would say for me, Bo Jackson.
Maybe
That
Deion Sanders.
that's just the era I grew up in.
Sam.
You know, so all right. Well then, just remember if you I had one earlier this week and I said I should write it down, but then I forgot. So if you meant to write something down and then you did, so that you'd have a good zinger to close in an episode, just remember, stupid never walks alone.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and listen to an 80s Flick Flashback podcast once in a while, you could miss it. Do you love movies of a certain age? Do you miss the days of VHS tapes, VCRs, and the video rental stores? Does the thought of another 80s movie being remade seem inconceivable? My name is Tim Williams. I'm the creator and host of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. On each episode, I'm joined by guest co-hosts to discuss one of the many movies released in the 1980s. We share our first-time watch memories, our favorite scenes, and even learn some behind-the-scenes stories about the cast and crew along the way. New episodes are released every other Friday on your favorite podcasting platform. So make like a tree, get out of here, and go listen to an excellent episode of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. The ad is over. Go home. Go.